Welcome to Access a Trader, the #1 community for high-level traders to learn valuable trends and strategies, connect with other top traders, and become consistently profitable. Click the link in the description of this video to receive a special offer on our revolutionary PS60 training, access to our daily chat room filled with experienced traders, and so much more. Space is limited, so make sure you don't miss out. We look forward to seeing you in the room.
Hey guys, good morning everybody. Welcome to another edition of the AccessATrader.com weekend wrap-up show. Hope everybody is having a beautiful weekend. Fall is in the air, beautiful weather. Taking my little guy, my best friend, my son, to the Giants-Saints game. So I'm going to wrap up this video and hopefully you guys will have an awesome Sunday. So let's get into the markets, right? First of all, I want to welcome all our friends from Facebook, StockTwits, obviously YouTube, Twitter. Again, this broadcast goes out every single day from Monday through Thursday to our incredibly awesome people. And we do this once a week for the mass public. So hopefully you guys are getting and have been getting a very alternative view of at least how I look at the markets. And let's get to the markets. So last week, if you guys remember, last week I had a really odd week, right? I had an incredibly odd week. Last week, I started the week with a losing day on Monday and made it back on Tuesday, made some more on Wednesday, basically took like 3-4 trades on Thursday just to get green on the day and made some money on Friday. So it was a very tough week for me because the correlation between the Dow, for example, and again, we talked about what was running up on the Dow last week, right? The Dow really skewed a lot of the indexes. You had your financials, right? You had your financials putting in really big moves last week. This was only a week ago, right? This is only a week ago. You had your moves on Goldman and Bank of America and JP Morgan and Citibank. You had all your option flow and everything was great. But the problem was stocks like Amazon, right? Amazon, Alibaba, Nvidia, Google, they just weren't going, right? They just really weren't going. Apple was having a hard time even after the upgrade. So there was a lot of stuff that was just kind of contracting. And the one thing, because I trade beta, and the reason why I trade beta is because the channels usually expand, even if they don't expand to the whole point of 10 being the most expansion you could possibly get. They're still very tradable. And I thought last week, and I even talked about this on the weekend video, I thought last week we just couldn't get that extra push. I would get us trade, for example, being long Tesla, and obviously we'll talk about Tesla in a few minutes. I would be long Tesla and it would give like a dollar move and then just kind of stall out and come back in. I'd be long Netflix, it would kind of stall out and come back in. So it was very tough. But the one constant I always talk about, okay, especially to new aspiring traders are, I always say is don't trade because the market's open. Okay, don't trade the market's open. You should be trading only because you have value. And last week, I thought on a scale of 1 through 10, the value was around 4. There just wasn't a lot of value. We were able to get trades. We were able to get some cash flow here and there, but there wasn't that signature day. Just wasn't that signature day. And I've always maintained the stance. You don't trade because the market's open. You don't trade because you wake up with a 3-inch erection. You trade because there's value. You trade because you have defined risk. You trade because the cards are stacked in your favor. And again, always play that premium hand. And I always say this, don't push. It will come. It will come. The market doesn't care that you want to trade, okay? The market doesn't owe you anything. Just because the market's open doesn't entitle you to do anything. So when I see a market that is contracting, right, and the leaders that I trade and the leaders that I follow just can't get going. Again, they weren't going up, they weren't going down, despite 3 consecutive sessions last week of the Dow Jones Industrial Average going up 200 points minimum every single day. We just couldn't get anything going. Just could not. If you traded beta last week, you could not possibly get anything going randomly here and there, but there was nothing correlated between the moves of the indexes and what we saw on our screen. Fast forward, right? Fast forward only a week later, right? And we came to Monday, and magically Monday, right? Magically Monday, it's like the market gods, the market gods will always show you, you're never as good, right? Or you're never as bad as you think you are. It never is, okay? You never are. somewhere in between lies your true ability, and somewhere in between lies the true market. So the market's never as good or never as bad as you think. You're not as good or never as bad as you think. It's somewhere in the middle. That's why it's so incredibly important to be really in control of your emotions. Because again, if you're on the whole go, 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 I'm going to jump out of the plane type of mentality, you're going to burn out. You're going to burn out before you even sustain any type of consistency. Forget about longevity, and you're going to burn out mental capital. So it's incredibly important to kind of just sit back, relax, dissect. Remember the phrase we always use: always collect data, right? To kind of get yourself in a situation that you're mentally already a step ahead of what potentially could happen. Have an opinion, right? Don't have a bias. Have an opinion, and when it comes, you strike down extreme prejudice. That's the way the market goes. That's the way any trader who's been trading for a long time will tell you. That's the way they approach the market. So no, I'm not, jumping out of my shoes to trade tomorrow. Okay, I'm very calm. I think Mondays are always the most disappointing days for new traders because they build it up in their minds to such a degree that when it doesn't play out the way they want, they deplete their mental equity right away. And the next thing you know, they start doing the same things over and over again. So let's talk about this week, right? So last week, market's up, right? The Dow's flying, everything's flying, nothing's going with it. This week, we had losses all across the board, right? Feds raised rates, everybody knew that, okay? That's all fine and dandy. So the indexes were down. What wasn't down was the value, okay? This week was probably one of the better values that I can remember in a very, very long time. If you trade beta today, if you traded beta, if you do trade beta, you know that, okay? Upgrades in Apple, upgrades in Nvidia. You had your whole Tesla explosion up, meltdown, right? Actually, obviously, we'll talk about that in a second. Netflix, everything under the sun. Amazon woke up. If you've been following, especially my Twitter timeline or my StockTwits timeline, just go through a week. You see where all these stocks started, where we started buying these things, where we started trading these things, and where they wound up. It's just an absolute very, very aggressive week. And again, it shows and proves once again that don't play the 2-7 offsuit. You just don't need to. Don't play the 2-7 offsuit. It's okay to muck, because when you get the premium hands, the jacks are better, right? Jacks, queens, kings, or aces, you're going to do just fine. And your spotlight is going to be shining really, really bright on your process. So index is down all across the board. Beta was incredibly aggressive all week. All week, we started trading, I think, Amazon somewhere in the 1970s, I think. I think it was in the 1970s. We had it twice overnight, two good overnight gaps. On Friday, we actually came in long Amazon overnight on Friday and actually gapped down. And again, this is why we always talk about in the live webinar, always have a level of protection, okay? There's no such thing as a slam dunk. So for every overnight you hit and it feels great, right? For every overnight you hit that it feels great, again, just understand the market will gap down. And when your futures are down 70, 80 handles on the Dow and 15, 20 handles on the NASDAQ 100, a stock like Amazon is going to gap down 10, 15 points. And again, you always need to have a proper safety net. We usually hedge either with the NASDAQ 100, either the QQQs. The previous day, we had the same trade on. We had the same trade. We were long Netflix and Amazon, and we were short Goldman Sachs, okay? So it worked out on both ways. Again, does that happen all the time? Of course not. But again, you always need to have a level of protections. Let's talk about this really quickly. After the big run-ups on the banks, you started seeing weakness, true to form, like we talked about last weekend. They only run up it feels like they run up like really, really randomly. And if you didn't come in long last week of these banks and brokers, you missed the whole, you literally missed the whole move. And again, true to form, they just came right back in. The price action from the Fed was already baked in, so there was nothing left. There was absolutely no ammunition. You could see how Goldman Sachs completely broke down this week, and again, taking down all the stocks with it. But if you look at the individual trades, very, very aggressive, right? Very, very aggressive in beta. Let's talk about this. Let's talk about Friday's session. All week was very aggressive. All week was very, very aggressive. Caught Tesla all over the place. Caught Netflix all over the place. Nvidia, oh my God, did I screw up on Nvidia on Friday? I'll show you guys what I did in a second. Amazon was just the monster. That was the monster of the week. That was definitely the monster of the whole week. It literally went from 1975 to 2020s. We talked about that on Friday. So let's talk about the pivots. And again, for all you guys who are new traders, and again, can't trade these things, but again, you want to understand why they move. Again, if you go through my whole Twitter feed for the last 5 years, 6 years, 5 years that we've been trading these pivots, just all you need to do is it doesn't cost you any money. We talked about this last week. All you need to do is look at these prices, look at the chart, and see why these stocks moved away from these prices to very, very aggressive levels. So Friday, I was literally done before 11 o'clock in the morning. Okay, I was literally done before 11 o'clock in the morning. It was so aggressive on Friday that everything that triggered, right, everything that started building, again, because remember, guys, there's no such thing as an alert, okay? And you know what an alert is? Like when you set your alarm clock and it wakes you up at 7 o'clock in the morning, that's an alert. Try putting out an alert on Nvidia. Try putting out an alert on Amazon. Yeah, you can put on an alert on a $2 stock you're buying in front of 1,000 people. Try doing that on Nvidia. See what happens to you. See how long you're going to be trading. So there's no such thing as an alert on beta. It's very organic order flow, okay, on an institutional level that builds a certain level. And when they build a certain level, because there is such a lack of retail participation that we talk about constantly, that's why they're so much smoother to control than, for example, like a $2 stock. They're so unpredictable that you're fighting with millions and millions of people trying to fight for 5 cents. These things are incredibly predictable in measured potential, right? Just because of the theory of stocks go from supply to supply and demand to demand. And again, all you need to go to my Twitter feed, all you need to go through my Twitter feed for the last 5 years, it doesn't cost you a penny. It just needs for you to sit down, take your behind, put it in the chair, and go through these charts and see and back test on your own why these things really, really went the way they went and what they were supposed to go. So let's talk about it. Friday, insane, absolutely insane. I was done 5 minutes to 11. That means the market was open for an hour and a half. Nvidia needs to go, 273 build needs to go. I put this out at 9:07 in the morning. Okay, it wasn't like, it's 9:07 in the morning. Again, here's your reality. Again, here's your reality. Here's the chart on Nvidia. Big upgrade, right? Obviously, everybody knows. Big upgrade on Friday. The pre-market high was right here. Again, sometimes these pivots are so clean, right? Sometimes they're absolutely so clean that you don't need to overthink. Again, problem was a lot of new traders. They overthink everything. This one, look how clean it was. It triggered above, right, and started building above pre-market, above this 270.5 area, which we actually had on our watch list the previous day, but obviously couldn't trade it there. So it gapped up pre-market to 273, and once it started building at 273, absolute rocket launcher, just absolute rocket launcher. I love it, again, for Monday. Unfortunately, I don't have any overnight. I just don't understand why. I completely forgot to take it overnight. Like this would have been a perfect Nvidia long Q short hedge overnight, because again, you almost in a weird way want Qs. You almost want to lose money on the Qs. You almost want to lose $1 on the Qs, because if the Qs gap up $1, this Nvidia is up another 5. So yeah, I mean, this looks really, really good. And if the Qs gap down, right? If the Qs gap down, you're covering your hedge, right? You're covering your hedge, and you know Nvidia is going to give you at least one run to green. I mean, the probability of that is as we see this every single day when these cult stocks get either an upgrade or really great earnings, whatever the case may be, they always give you, I can't say always, but the higher probability that they will give you at least one shot at red. So if the market does gap down, you're covering your hedge, and you are still long. You're still long the underlying security for possible move, and we'll talk about that in a second with Amazon. But yeah, I mean, so Nvidia 273 break, it just absolutely exploded. Huge move. Again, here it is right here, square. Again, it's all about education, guys. Again, look at the time. The market didn't even open up yet. It's all about education. Again, when you're trading, nobody's supposed to trick you. Okay, your eyeballs are your eyeballs. Okay, that's the best way of understanding and dissecting any process. We're not trying to trick anybody, guys. As traders, we're not trying to trick anybody. We're not trying to trick ourselves. What we're looking to do is get a process, get an edge, and hold on to it like grim death. Because again, traders trade years, and they just can't find that correlated process, how it fits their personality, fits their bankroll, and fits their risk parameters. It's so hard, but when you get it, you got to get it. So again, here is a scenario that, again, it wasn't a true pivot. But again, momentum dictated based on what we're seeing with the futures market, how strong beta is. Sometimes, again, you don't need to be creative. And I said, look, this is a 9:07 in the morning. Square, watch the red to green move for aggressive traders. Again, red to green is not a pivot. Okay, red to green is just continuation of a potential momentum explosion. Again, we don't chase momentum. We are putting ourselves in a position that we are about to be on the right side of it. So Square, I said maybe it gives you a $100 run. It's not a pivot. Again, very, very important to understand. Red to green is not a pivot. It's just an idea for momentum. Again, look at Square, right? Pre-market, it was at 97 and change, right? 97 and change, 98. And once it went green, right? Once it went green, look at the move. Okay, it went to $100.39. Big, big move. Congratulations for all you guys who took that as well. And again, they just kept on coming on Friday. This is such an aggressive day that if you could literally bottle up the day, you would sign up for it every single day. But again, unfortunately, as we all know, trading doesn't work that way. Again, HIIQ, 59, 80, 60, huge. It's a huge area. It's a huge area on the chart. Again, sometimes you don't need to be exotic. You don't need to be creative. Again, why was 59.80, right? Why was 59.80, 60 bucks the big stock? It wasn't even some sneaky pivot or anything else. This is just a daily chart. Look at the top of this channel here, right? 59.75 is the daily high. It started building 59.80, 60 bucks. The thing went to almost $63. Absolutely huge move. Great job for all you guys. Again, tweeted this thing out in our private Twitter feed 5 minutes before the feed, 5 minutes before the market opened up. Again, this isn't trick photography. This is trading, guys. Boeing, this was big. This was an absolutely big move. Boeing, we talked about the daily chart setting up. We talked about the 60-minute chart setting up. This was 9:10 in the morning. Boeing 6950 build is important. Again, look at the 60-minute chart, right? Look at the 60-minute chart. Forget about all this. This is already what happened after. Look at the top of the supply, right? Everybody see the supply? 69.20. You see this right here, 69.38, right? So he said 69.50 build, 269.50 bid. And if it starts building, it could put up a huge move. And look at this move, guys. Absolutely huge move. Boeing ran to 74 and change, from 69.5, 74 and change. And if you look at the daily chart, it broke out again, right? Absolutely broke out again. So big, big move there as well. And again, it just kept on going, right? Just kept on going over and over again. And here, pre-market, when Amazon, and again, this is what we talk about. This is what we talk about having a hedge on. When Amazon was down 9, 10, 12 points pre-market, again, you had the Qs short. Okay, you had the Q short. That was your safety net. That is the one that is completely removing a lot of the pre-market damage. And again, when the stock is down $10, $12 and you look at the daily chart and you say, this thing should go. It's the futures that are curbing its enthusiasm right now. It should go. It should go. Here's a perfect example of how you could have made both sides, right? You could have made both sides. You came in, shorted the Qs overnight, right, as your hedge. You covered some huge pre-market, and I said, watch red to green move. Watch the red to green move. Watch the red to green move. And this is me obviously joking around. And I said current move. The reason why I said current move, look what Amazon does, right? Once it goes red to green, look at the candle here, guys. Red to green was right here, 213, right? 2013, red to green move stopped right perfectly at the top of the channel. 2023 to 2026. So absolutely just a huge, huge move. Some crazy stuff throughout the day. Again, we weren't even done here. I even missed this trade. I missed Xilinx. Again, look at the time. Xilinx, 80 build important. Good option flow on this thing. We've been talking about the Xilinx for several days. Again, not the biggest move in the world, but I think the stock still goes higher. Again, breaks to 80, goes to 80.68. Let me see if there's anything else I put on social media. And this is where I left, right? This is where I left, right? So I tweeted out right over here, right before I left. I wrote, I go, okay, guys, this time I'm done for real. Okay, I just sat around for a couple hours after. And I go, I'll leave you with this. Obviously, I meant 269 on Tesla, which the next tweet showed. 269 is a monster line in the sand on Tesla. No position, so just passing along. I didn't have a position on this thing. I was already gone for the day. If this thing starts building under, it can flush, have a great weekend, God bless, right? Obviously, the next thing I tweeted, right? Obviously, the next thing I tweeted, it was not, obviously, it was right here. It was 269, not 369. And the reason, again, guys, this is technical analysis. That's why every single new trader needs to understand technical analysis. It's just so important. You don't need to be a rocket scientist to understand confirmation of channels. You don't need to be a rocket scientist to be overly smart, to overthink, to understand that stocks confirm channels. It's a very, very simplistic note, but when it does, it becomes very, very aggressive. So here's the channel right here. 269 was the low here. 269 was the low here. Again, this is why 269 was the sneaky pivot. It's not the top of the range. It's not the bottom of the range. This is what we talk about, the meat and potatoes, right? It's the meat. It's not the bread. It's not the onions. It's not the tomato. It's not the secret sauce. It's the meat of the trade. And 269, 3 candles in. Again, that's 3 hours, okay? 3 hours of collecting data. And once this thing took out the 269 level, absolutely destruction. I know a lot of you guys caught the trade. $8 candle, and as obviously I joked around when I went out to lunch with my buddy. I go, "Wow, my God, that's a very, very expensive lunch." Yada yada yada. So really, really aggressive week. So let's talk about Tesla, right? Let's talk about Tesla. All right, so everybody knows the story. So I love trading Tesla. Again, if anybody joining this broadcast for the very, very first time, I love trading Tesla. Okay, I trade it to the long side. I trade it to the short side. I love the car. I live in Morris County, right? I live in Morris County in New Jersey, in the Short Hills Mall, for you guys who are in Jersey, in the tri-state area. There's a Tesla showroom, okay? I love Tesla. You see Teslas everywhere, okay? It's almost, I don't want to say almost, but it's up there with like the Range Rover now as the official suburban car. Matter of fact, when you buy a house, they actually give you a Rover, allegedly. So I love trading the company, trading the stock both ways. If all you guys have been following me, you kind of see that. And I root for, I root for Elon Musk. I root for, I root for innovation. I root for capitalism. Again, I want people to succeed, okay? So when we flash back, right, when we flash back and we talk about this guy just sitting there randomly smoking a joint, and that's exactly what happened, and he came out and said, well, I'm thinking about taking the company private at 420. What do you guys think, basically? Obviously, he knew what he was doing, right? As I said, as I said for weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks, was he high? Yes, he admitted he probably was high. I don't even remember if he did admit, but let's just say he was high, allegedly. Again, did he want to commit securities fraud? Probably not, right? Everybody understand has a huge bias on Tesla, burning cash, blah, blah, blah. Okay, we got that part. Did he want to sit there on social media, commit securities fraud? Probably not. I think even the biggest hater on Elon Musk can agree that he probably didn't want to commit securities fraud, right? But he was high, right? And a lot of shit happens when you're high. Just saying, from what I understand. And the stock exploded. Right? The stock exploded, the whole funds security, right? And then as day went on, there was no funds. There was no following headline that said, well, here's the specific headline that funds are secured. And if you've been watching this broadcast week after week after week, all I kept on saying was, no news is bad news, okay? The longer they can't come up with a number that's going to facilitate a legitimate area of somebody investing money, this is ridiculously bearish for the company, right? Because again, there's trust issues. There is trust issues. There's reputation issues. You're going to lose credibility, and it's just not good. It leaves a bad taste in the mouth for shareholders, right? Oh, by the way, combine that with your burning cash and blah, 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 right? Nothing happened. The longer we went, nothing happened. And they started selling off Tesla, right? They started selling off Tesla. And we knew, I mean, again, if you didn't think, okay, and we talked about this for weeks, if you didn't think that the Securities Exchange Commission was going to look into this and file a formal inquiry, you were crazy, okay? And every single day, even in the last week or so that we were trading Tesla and it was strong into the close, all I kept on saying in the live webinars, I have trusted. There's no way I can take this thing overnight. How can you possibly take it overnight with all these clouds of suspicions? I'd rather trade something else. And then finally, right, the worst kept secret, right? The worst kept secret in Wall Street. Well, here comes the Securities Exchange Commission, right? They file the formal inquiry. Here comes the investigation, securities fraud, right? Big, big things to say. Now, again, if we were the people on social media saying, if Dave Shapiro turned on Twitter and say, hey, by the way, I'm hearing funding secured, and this company is going private at $420 a share, right? I would have been looking at 60 to 80 months in federal prison. Good news is only 80% time served, from what I hear, right? From what I hear. But again, if it was any one of us, we'd be in handcuffs right now, right? We'd be in handcuffs. But again, it doesn't work that way, right? It doesn't work that way. The only thing that we didn't bet, okay, the only thing that nobody in their right mind bet after this humongous move on Friday, right? 42 points down. After this humongous move on Friday, nobody would ever imagine, okay, from the headline Friday morning that, oh, by the way, the Securities Exchange Commission is on your door and we want answers, to 12 to 18 hours later, whatever it was, let's just say 24 hours later, that they came out and said, oh, by the way, we have a settlement. When did that happen, right? And the settlement was love Elon, hate Elon, love Tesla, hate Tesla. The settlement was so irrelevant that when I heard about it, I started laughing. For those of you guys who don't know, I'm sure everybody does, $20 million fine and his title of chairman, excuse me, right? His title of chairman goes away, but he's still the CEO, right? Still the CEO. So $20 million. Elon Musk, just to put this in perspective, Elon Musk controls roughly 33, 34 million shares of Tesla stock. For him to even care, right? Let's just say he doesn't even want to write out a check. All he needs to do is sell 75,000 shares of the 33 million, and that $20 million is paid. If it was us, they would have bankrupted us. They would have bankrupted our whole bloodline. My grandkids would be paying for what I did. We'd be serving 60 to 80 months in prison, okay? And we would be completely shunned away from society. But hey, Elon Musk, God bless, man. Lawyers secured. That's the name of the theme, lawyers secured. So good. On that headline, people are saying it's going to go back up 40, 50 points. Look, this is my take. This is my take. I think Tesla will recover on Monday, obviously, okay, at least initially. Can you see a gap up of 10, 15 points? I think you could. Can you see a gap of 20? And maybe you can. Here's my problem with Tesla right now. Here's my problem with Tesla. Okay, not necessarily my problem, but here's kind of the way my brain thinks. The fact that he's still the CEO is good, right? Is good. Chairman, the title, they took that away. I think that the premium for Tesla, right? I think there is a 50 to 100 point premium of Tesla that Elon Musk, as the CEO, still the CEO, commands. Okay, so if he wasn't the CEO, maybe Tesla would be trading $100 lower, $50 lower, strictly for that. There's certain CEOs that if they go away, the stock price will suffer. For example, if Jeff Bezos, right? If Jeff Bezos goes away, that's a problem. If Phil Knight goes away, nobody really cares. Are you really not going to buy a pair of Nikes because Phil Knight retires, right? Probably not. So I think there is some sort of premium still tied in to the CEO title. The question is now, will there be a future, right? Will there be a future vote if this impacts the stock? Again, everybody's anticipating their next earnings. Will there be a vote eventually to remove Elon Musk? I have to assume, right? I have to assume going into the foreseeable future, they're going to muzzle him, right? He's not going to be randomly tweeting things out. I don't even know if he's going to be on Twitter to begin with, but they're going to curb him. So is the luster going to be taken away? It's obviously a good thing for the long-term structural balance of Tesla, but is it good for the long-term prosperity that Elon Musk will be muzzled? Again, all questions that we will be obviously privy to in the next foreseeable future. So it's going to be very, very interesting. It's going to be a very, very interesting session on Monday. I will not be trading Tesla on Monday till probably the second or third candle. I want to see the first move. I want to see what happens on the second candle. Will it be a lower high? Will it be a higher high? I want to see what happens on the first dip into the 60-minute support. I want to see what happens when the stock hits its first 60-minute supply. Collection of data. Because again, at the end of the day, you're looking for the biggest sweet spot. You're looking for the biggest morsel, right? The biggest cut of meat that you want to chew. Again, you don't want to buy Tesla up 20. You don't want to short. It's like shorting Tesla down 40. Why? Okay, so to make $1, it's easy to make $1 in other ways than short Tesla down 40 or buy Tesla up 20. So it's going to be very, very important. So for the first 2 candles of the day going into tomorrow's session, I will be kind of a bystander to see how it plays out. So going into tomorrow's session, guys, and again, really, really good week, but going into tomorrow's session, you got to like what you're seeing. You got to like what you're seeing. I like the, look at the NASDAQ 100, just sitting above that 185 area, is just digesting. It's building above the rising 5-day moving average. Again, the 5-day moving average for a lot of you guys probably doesn't mean anything. It means a lot to me. It does show me very, very short-term sentiment, so it's very, very important to me. Let me give you guys some ideas for tomorrow that I do like. Nvidia, and again, I completely forgot to take this overnight, but Nvidia, there's 2 ways to play it, okay? There's 2 ways to play it. If it gaps up, as you can see, if it gaps up, you have a channel all the way up here to 287. So this is kind of your pot of gold, right? Supply to supply. So you know where potentially the stock can go. If you don't think it could run up another $7, $8 up the $13 move, you're sadly mistaken. So there's 2 ways to play this thing. If it gaps down tomorrow, right? If it gaps down tomorrow, you can buy it above this candle right here, which is 282. And if it starts building 282, you have a realistic puncher's chance getting to 287. If it gaps up, right, we're just watching for an opening range high. And again, depending how much spread there is still room to the 287. So keep an eye on that. I like Boeing. I like Boeing as well. And obviously you can buy Nvidia on a dip into the 60-minute support, which again, we'll identify tomorrow at Morning Strategy. Boeing looks great. Boeing looks really, really good. I think you could take it off this channel right here, this little sweet spot right here. Again, majority of people don't even know it's available. A lot of people, going into tomorrow's session will be looking at the 74 level. You don't need the 74 level. Here's the level of interest here, right? If it starts building above these 2 candles, you could get a move right back into Friday's high. So keep an eye on that as well. I like Alibaba, not for tomorrow, okay? Not for tomorrow, for sometime in the middle of the week. It's holding this 10-day moving average. And when I say I like, it doesn't mean I like it for long. It means I like the way it's setting up here. The channels are very, very tight. If you look at the bottom channel here, it stopped at 162.83, right, on September the 25th. Yesterday's low was 163.30, right? So if it starts building, this is a 2-way setup. If it starts building below 162.80s, okay, there's a shot this thing completely rolls over and starts falling apart. But, right, and again, we have no bias. I have 0 bias in the market. You can see where it stopped in the bottom channel here. Or either below the 62.80s or above, right, or above this 167.50 level, right? Or let's just even call it 168. So again, the greatest thing about the PS60 process is we have no bias, okay? I don't care which way this thing breaks. It's either going to break below or it's going to break above. And that's the whole point of trading. Again, when you're stuck in a bias, stuck in opinion, again, the optimum word is you're stuck, okay? You're absolutely stuck. And the most important part of trading is you got to be limber. You got to be limber. You have to have open-minded. And again, as we said, going into tomorrow's session, don't have any expectations. When you have expectations, your emotional levels are risen, okay? And when you have expectations, you're setting yourself up, especially for Monday, okay? You're setting yourself up for a huge disappointment because, again, if you're trading exactly the same way you traded last week and saw no results last week, well, how the heck are you going to how are you going to improve those results this week? Again, we're the only ones who trade these type of pivots. I know there's pivots around. Don't get me wrong. I'm not naive. But these are very, very specific channels. For all you guys who've been incredibly curious, we have nearly a 4-hour workshop of the PS60 theory. I'm telling you, for all you guys just on the cusp, especially for you guys who trade beta, if you're just literally on the cusp, like really on the cusp, and you're so close to breaking through in your progress as a trader, I'm telling you, if you watch the workshop, this will give you such a clear and different view from the alternative. This really might be exactly what you're looking for. And again, just from the people in the live webinar, anybody randomly can ask anybody in the live webinar, this has made a world of difference. So guys, have a great remainder of your Sunday. For all you guys who are joining us tomorrow in the live webinar, Morning Strategy starts up at 9:05 Eastern Time. Guys, God bless. Go Giants. Did I even say that out loud? Jet fan going to a Giant game. Anyway, all for the kids, right? Guys, have a great Sunday, and God bless, and I'll see you all tomorrow. Take care.